Hello, my name is Stan Westhead. The name of my piece is Some People Collect Stamps. And I'd like you to keep in mind that this is all true right up to and including the end. I've had some sort of interest in airplanes since I was 12 years old, during the war, when the practice of aircraft recognition was a very big thing. With our father's help, my brother and I learned to recognise every operational airplane of Britain, United States and Germany, pardon me, and from many other nations besides. We knew some of the aircraft by their characteristic sound, like the whistle of the Spitfire or the distinctive propeller noise of the North American AT-6. And once even a twin-engine German plane, by its throbbing noise caused, we were told, by unsynchronized engines, whatever that meant. We were good and we knew it. We were good and we knew it. A pair of know-it-alls who sneered at other children who couldn't recognize passing aircraft. I've since lost the attitude, but I've retained the interest, just as a modest hobby, like some people collect stamps, or others spot the wild birds. In past years, I've attended every air display, visible ground displays, and museums everywhere, including the ultimate, the Museum of the US Air Force in Dayton, Ohio. I also accumulated a shelf of literature, technical and fictional, mostly for the 1940s and earlier. For me, jet planes never really had the same attraction as the other types, the older types. Pardon me. In later years, the hobby occupied me somewhat less as the opportunity to it dwindled. It became mostly reading, and that was until some years after I retired, I decided at 70 years old to learn to fly. My intent was to go no further than simply learning to take off, fly the plane, and land, nothing more. No navigation or similar complications, none of the great many skills necessary to gain a private flying license. Simple, bare bones piloting, that was my intent. I went to a local airport, hired a Cessna, a headset, and an instructor, and started a series of lessons covering a range of activities, including preparation for flight, taxiing, climbing, descending, avoiding collision, that was important, pardon me, and turning to other headings. It was very interesting. It was very interesting, both the practical and the theoretical. I enjoyed it greatly, but flying an aeroplane, for whatever reason, for whatever purpose, is expensive. So after the fifth lesson, I decided I had done enough to satisfy, at least for a while, and would make the next flight the last one for the moment, which it was, with some complication. The last entry in the letter the instructor made in my pilot log reads, October the 12th, 2000, aborted lesson, engine problems, emergency landing. What happened was this: when the plane was climbing away after takeoff, the instructor politely informed me that the engine wasn't working properly. She took control and told the tower of the situation. I was not knowledgeable enough to know that engine problem immediately after takeoff is a most undesirable circumstance. The instructor let the tower know that we were on our way back. The tower presumably warned off other aircraft in the vicinity, and I watched with interest as she turned the plane round to land on the field. This is a manoeuvre, by the way, that would be absolutely forbidden if the engine had stopped. In such a case, you do not turn back. You just carry straight on away from the field and make other arrangements. In our case, she put the airplane nicely back on the ground and taxied it in, and the episode ended to everyone's satisfaction. I thanked her for saving my life. She pointed out that she had saved her own as well. Thank you. The next time I saw the instructor was when I told her that I'd decided I was not going to continue with the lessons at that time. Later I wished I had resumed the lessons I had intended, at least to take off and landings, but I didn't. But the long-lasting hobby faded into no more museums or air shows, and the books left mainly unread. But that wasn't quite the end. In 2017, correct, that in 2017, as the result of a most unlikely circumstance, I was offered a backseat flight around Cape Fear area in a AT-6, the World War II aircraft I mentioned earlier. The plane I flew in was the real thing, gorgeous in Marine Corps colours, manufactured in 1943, and with a proper finish to nearly 80 years of on and off enjoyment, and that was disastrous.